Assalamualaikum. We are from Group 3, consists of 3 group members, Afiqah, Amirah and myself, Afifah. Our group has studied the audit report on the financial statement of the Selangor State Government. Without further ado, let's jump to the main audit finding and financial implication. But first, let's start with the activities of department or agency and the management of state-owned company. From the finding, we have identified that all departments have used more than 80% of the allowed development allocation, with the exception of Islamic Religious Council and the State Treasury. An audit review revealed that none of the 9 development projects worth Rm 3.01 million that were provided to 3 departments were actually used. One of the highlighted activity are the art gallery or heritage walk project that have been given an Rm 600,000 update allocation has been cancelled by the Chief Minister and Government Secretary Office. In addition, Masjid Sultan Salahuddin Abdul Aziz Shah reconstruction and building project has not made use of any funding allocated to. According to further audit analysis, less than half of the allocation provided by the state government is being utilized by a total of 30 projects across 7 departments as shown on the table. A number of projects run by Islamic Religious Council only use a portion of the total cash allotted to them, such as an attempt to rebuild the prayer hall. Meanwhile, the Agriculture Department spent just 30% of the allocated fund on the Agriculture Innovation and Technology project. In an effort to aid and avert the flood catastrophe, the Department of Irrigation and Drainage has undertaken numerous projects. One of the projects are the flood barrier project on Sungai Jijan, which has only utilized 25% of the allocation because to illogical argument and the cancellation of indent on cable routing procedure. Meanwhile, 48.7% of the allocation was spent on flood barrier project on Petaling. And in addition, the pump house construction and new trash rig project has used nearly half of the budget allotted due to the Movement Control Command PKP, which has delayed the pump shipping. 44 out of 65 projects in the 11 Malaysian Plan RMK11 had been implemented later than expected. 5 projects were completed late compared to the schedule, and 123 projects that have not yet started or in planning or are cancelled.
Hi, my name is Rajendra Amira and I will continue to explain on part 2. So, Financial Management Accountability Index FMAI has a 9 element of assessment. However, this report will only highlight 2 of them. First, budgetary control. Budgetary control was used to make sure that the agency budget was correctly planned and managed in accordance with the goals and legislation that were specified. So state government's financial analysis display any surplus or deficit in funds by comparing total revenue to operational and development expenses, as well as funding sources in a financial year. Overall, the statement government's financial performance for the year 2020 was stable because it generated a surplus of 93.22 million, a rise of 311.33 million, which is 42.7% as compared to a total deficit of 218.11 million in the previous year. Okay, next FMAI element that will emphasize is organizational management control, where it will be determined to what extent the agency have set up an effective structure, system, and procedure for financial management. So it has been discovered that 30 projects are unutilized since the development budget is less than 50% of what was allocated. The fact that the needed costs exceed the project ceilings and open the way for the implementation of a project that must be prioritized in accordance with the expected development allocation that the state government has set is one of the reasons that the project was cancelled. 6 of the 89 projects that were turned down have funding allocated for 2020, while the remaining 83 do not. In addition, in terms of surprise audit, we found out that Selangor Audit Report Journals 2020 did not mention any surprise audit that took place.
Hi, my name is Nurul Afika. Now I will continue to the next part, which is the level of effectiveness in the governance practices by the Selangor state government. First of all, it can be measured and observed by the source of fund received and how they manage the funds throughout the financial year. It relates to the budgetary control approach mentioned in the previous discussion. We can see that at the end of 2020, there are surplus, and the surplus might be represent the decrease in state government's operating expenses after the collapse of economy due to pandemic in 2019. But if you look at the state government revenue, there are a decrease compared to 2019. This is because the revenue collection cannot be carried out or collected properly due to the MCO and COVID-19 restriction that occurred throughout the year the collection take place in Selangor. There are also projects under some department that spend less than the allocation given by the state government, which we assume that the management of government fund is not really effective. For example, there are some projects under Department of Islamic Religion and the Department of Public Work has not been started or been cancelled. Last but not least, myriad of approved projects that are cancelled also from the Irrigation and Drainage Department. Mostly, the cancellation of project occurs due to the lack of fund allocation and the high cost required to complete the project. Even though the water supply project received the majority of public debt financing that year, the project has still not been finished to this date, while the state government public debt is still showing a decreased result. Hence, we believe that the Selangor state government overall practices are effective but not particularly outstanding. There are more things that needs to be done to increase effort to collect unpaid revenue so that the state government's financial position is stronger and the funds channeled to it are used to their fullest capacities.
Okay, let's move on to the next part, which is new resources. So as a chief minister, we have learned a new resources for preventing flood disaster, in which by improvising drainage system operation using the water gate level technology. Based on our research before, we discovered from the Selangor audit report that the Department of Irrigation and Drainage spent less than half of the budget allocated on the drainage system operations. This may be the result of ineffectiveness management of the state budget. Therefore, the water gate level was designed with specializing assistant that alerts user to the water level behind the water gate and set off an alarm on their phones. The water gate will be built in the road steps surrounding the targeted flood region so that it will be automatically activate when water begins to flow toward the low area and prevent water from overflowing into the low area. Due to the low success rate and incompleteness of drainage project in Selangor, we decided to introduce this technology as a new resources that will aid in becoming the initial step in preventing water from entering Selangor's low-lying district.
In conclusion, the financial performance of Selangor state government shows the representation of true and fair on its year-end financial statement as of 31st December 2020. But state government must ensure that the internal control over the management of receipt is carried out more regularly and its transaction is being recorded accurately. Regarding the practices of the Selangor state government, it still needs more space for improvement to ensure that the management of fund can be appropriately allocated with a high level of accountability by taking a proper look and investigating the project managed and implemented under each of the department. And we suggest that the external auditor of the Selangor state government need to increase and implement more unannounced audit to increase the credibility of financial statement prepared. That's all from us, Group 3. Thank you.